everybody, it's Romania Black, and we're on episode 10 of Blue Lock Season 2, and episode 9 was amazing. I'm all about the family drama. I am all about genealogy. I'm all about brothers. I'm all about opposites. And episode 9 gave me all of the things that I needed, except we did not get Sai's perspective. But I am fully convinced that by the end of this season, we're going to backtrack to a lot of those moments from episode 9 and see them from Sai's point of view now that we've seen Rin's point of view. But the whole brother flashback, everything, it's all coming together. So, fortunately, a slight heat wave, and by heat wave I mean it's like 40 degrees instead of 20, which is still a pretty significant heat wave, has hit where I'm at, so I feel comfortable wearing a t-shirt today. I'm not bundled up like last week. But I'm super excited for this episode. But we have some pretty big comments to talk about in terms of episode 9. So I want to dive into those before we start this episode. So bear with me. But we've got quite a few extensive comments I want to go through before we dive in. So first, we have .7568 who said, I thought this was a very interesting perspective, and I wanted to kind of talk about this and kind of my thoughts with it, because I agree a lot with Sai, what Dot is saying, but I want to add to it. So they say, I think Sai's shift from episode 9 isn't about one's position being better than another or hitting a limit. It's about realizing where his natural talents and instincts truly lie. He could think from his experience in Spain that he learned that his skills are suited as a midfielder more than as striker. And I could see that. They were arguing that they didn't think it was settling. I'm like, but technically it is. When you figure out where your talents lie and you're like, oh, I'm suited for this, you have settled for it. You're not going to move beyond or try or challenge yourself to do anything different. You are settling. I'm going to be a midfielder and that's all I'm good at. That's my limit. That is settling. So I do think that Sai is settling, and Rin is kind of annoyed by that. Now, Rin is also very naive, and Dot goes on to say, Rin approaches soccer from a striker mindset, and Sai realized later he doesn't have a special striker's trait to excel in that role. Sai still wants to be the best with Rin. He just wants to be the best midfielder and Rin to be the best striker, which is funny because Asagi has his same role as Sai had with Rin now. And I wanted to kind of talk about that because I feel like Asagi is a really good example of someone that's not settling. Like Asagi could have settled to think that, oh, his talents aren't good enough to be a striker and be on the main stage. Even though he's in the position that Sai would normally be in if he was a striker, I feel like Asagi is a great example of in Blue Lock, they are constantly asking these characters to challenge that mindset of, oh, you're only as good as your limit. And the whole concept is you have to reinvent yourself and you have to be bold and courageous and be able to chew yourself up, spit yourself back out and reforge yourself into something new. And that's something that not everyone can do. And it reminded me back in the episode where Bachra's mother was the artist. And then we talked about in that episode how dreams change. And that's part of quote unquote growing up in some respects. But in that episode with Bachra's mom, it's kind of treated very melancholy. Like it talks about like, oh, well, once you grow up, it's like leaving Neverland. Once you grow up, your dreams, may change and you may not be able to believe that you can follow those aspirations that you once had. And so then the show kind of asks us, the audience, the question, do we view it as a good thing for Sai? Do we view, because Sai in this respect is kind of like Bachra's mom. He just settles for that. I'm going to be a midfielder and that's where I'll be the best. And that's all I can do. And it's like, is that a good thing? It can be. I mean, people do it all the time, but that's not really what Blue Lock is about. Blue Lock is about, no, you're not just going to settle for being a midfielder. You're going to try to be a striker. And if you end up as a midfielder, but you're still trying to get the goal, well, then that's just part of it. And that's fine. But do you just limit yourself and accept that this is as far as you go? Or do you keep pushing yourself? And a pro player will keep pushing themselves to be the best. And you could argue that that's what Sai is doing. He's going to be the best midfielder. But I felt like in episode 9, Sai was indeed saying, this is as far as I can go. Now, if Sai kind of reimagines that later on and kind of extends that a little bit more, then I could totally understand that. And I would agree with Dot on that. I do think that I like what Dot says about Sai has come so far. Sai went from being like, I'm going to be the best and you're going to be the second best, to kind of having a more grown up and mature view of, well, I'm going to be the best in this area. You can be the best beside me, which is progress. But then of course he like is really cold and horrible to Rin. So it kind of is like, well, you know, but my point is, how do we view it? Can it be that, yes, you settled for what you believe is your skill set, or do you reinvent yourself over and over again, like the Blue Lock system asks you to do, to get where you need to be? And I think that that's a really interesting question. You know, there might be a way to resolve the conflict. You know, if they stayed in those positions, that would kind of resolve the conflict where they could both be the best, but it's Blue Lock, so we'll just wait and see what we get with that. But I thought that was a good comment. Anne points out it was Sai who told Rin to become the second best. And it was him who said that anything other than a striker is useless. And it was Sai who told Rin to never give up and follow him. So Rin started all of this because of Sai, because Sai told him to, and Sai didn't have a problem with it. Here's the thing, Sai could just explain what happened and be like a normal person, but he has to be the most dramatic thing in the world. These boys, I swear. So Anne says it's always baffling to me that people want Rin to know where Sai comes from when Sai was not letting out anything and was straight up disowning Rin. And now, to be fair, Anne does not like Sai at all. I'm kind of in the mindset of Sai is like a love to loathe character for me. I really think he's a terrible person in the show, but I kind of love him because I get where he's coming from, and I'm like, oh, you're fun to watch. So that's kind of my mindset with it. So it's interesting, but yeah, if these two Bakas would just talk to one another, we could have a lot accomplished, but that's not happening. Leander Larson 2676 says that if you notice, after Rin dodges Isagi's hug and orders the other Blue Lockers to change formation, he holds his hand to his head, sort of in his hair. He normally does this only when he has been putt-played or is frustrated. Apparently, he also does this if he's flustered by the thought of PDA at work. Here's the thing. Now that I know that Rin is a secret softie, I'm obsessed. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, Isagi, if you only knew. It's one of my favorite things that shows do when they reveal the tsundere character actually has this big old soft heart, but the other characters don't know it. And you're like, you mother trucker, if they knew. But he doesn't, so what can we do? But the idea of PDA at work is hilarious. To be fair, I don't like PDA at work, so there's like a couple people I work with that are married, and I'm like, go home and do that. Like they'll come over and like give each other hugs and stuff. I'm like, get out, get a room. So then we have finally Toro Titanium. Toro Titanium says, I love this description. Sleeper build devour Isagi and explosive demon Shido. Both brothers are sitting there going, yes, now more crazy. Oh my God, yes. We talked about this in the Discord. I just want to imagine Isagi and Ryusei at the dinner table with Sai and Rin and his parents, whose parents are a total mystery at this point. But I just want to matter, like Rin and Sai have like lightning bolts coming out of their eyes at each other. And then Isagi's like the most polite individual. He's like, oh, please, sir, pass me the Brussels sprouts. And the parents are like, aren't you just the best? And then Ryusei's over there like the Beast in Beauty and the Beast, just like his head in porridge, like food going everywhere. Yeah, I love that. And yes, more crazy. This family, so that's how it is in this family. Toro Titanium also says, Rin, I thought this was interesting. Rin isn't referred to as Itoshi by anyone. Calling someone by their first name is a really personal thing to do, something that is completely at odds with how Rin has this wall raised between him and the other characters. In the match, it makes sense since both players are playing at the same time. However, in a closed-off environment like Blue Lock, the fact that no one uses the name Itoshi and Rin doesn't correct them says a whole lot. You could call it a rejection of familial attachment, but Rin himself called this a sibling fight. Whilst Rin projects this cool and unflappable persona, I always say he is a character that is primarily driven by his emotions. Yeah, I thought I hadn't really noticed that because I usually call characters by the name that is easiest for me to say. So if it's an easy name like Ryusei or Rin, I'm like, I'm going to go with that. But that is so interesting. And now it kind of makes sense this whole time. I hadn't really thought of it that way, but he has gone by Rin the entire series. And at the time I thought, well, that makes sense because he doesn't want to be compared to his brother. He wants to be himself. He's Rin, not Itoshi. But it also has another layer now that we've seen episode 9, knowing how much he dislikes his brother and is angry at his brother that he wants to completely avoid it. That's so fascinating to me. So yeah, I'm really glad about those comments. I'm so excited, and I feel like this show still has a lot to give us. So that's exciting as well. But yeah, so thank you all so much for the comments and kind words. I really appreciate that. I'm going to be very curious to see how this game goes down now. Ryusei's in, so it's like all bars are off. Like the cage door is open. Katie bar the door. It's like Ryusei's here and he's going to just muck things up. He's probably just going to like barrel roll past everybody and not give a shit. So it's going to be fun to watch, but we're not going to waste any more time. We are going to dive in. I still can't watch the OP, but I'm sure we'll get close to it. I'm sure I'll be able to see it by the last episode, right? We're going to start this here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. I'm sure by episode 13, I'll be able to watch the OP, so don't worry. I will see it by the end of the season. Oh. Lose an earbud. Oh, yeah. Halftime's over, bitch. Asagi's, Of course. He looks so happy! God, I can only hear Gojo. The younger. Oh, he's stalking towards him. Ah! The chew! Stop that! Only I can kiss him! Chew! Oh my god! Oh my god. What is this? Ah! It seems that they're provoking each other before making out on the field. We know nothing about this wild feral mongoose. Oh my god. Aiku's like, do I need to step in? Isagi's out here to become a hero. Flo. Yes. Oh, damn. That's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. Hi, Asagi. How you doing? Okay. Well. The subs take the stage. That is the most spoilery of all episode titles. Just saying. I'm sure it's not just talking about Ryusei. Nico! Yeah, his ability is he's very unpredictable. And he's working with Sai, so that's even greater. I love the idea of Nico as the hunter and Ryusei as the wild beast. Ah! Was he guts or something? Oh my god. He's scaring his own teammates. Yes! Uh-huh. Sai's like, make it 1-on-20 because I'm helping him. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, he actually passed it to him. Shark sucker! Oh, no! Interesting. Shark sucker. Oh, my God. Oh. Did we not expect a combo like this? Oh, interesting. We're going to talk about that. Well, crap. Lurking. Sai is a lurker, for sure. Go gain. Oh my god, why? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm sure he loves the nasty ones. Oh my god, the devil's wings. Oh, Nico. Oh, Nico, sweetheart. Nico. Oh. 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 Rayo's like, it's my time. Let's go. Oh. Oh, they're coordinating all right. Gnome. Oh. 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 Dude. Oh, I'm sure. Okay. All right. That's all it took, huh? Oh. Poor Nico. That would have hurt like hell. How are you still not screaming? Oh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That just, nope. Yeah, he's like, I guess I'll be in this three-way. Oh, Nico. Oh, sweetheart. No. Not yet. Yes, absolutely he did. No, no. I know you do, but your foot is... Ooh, okay. Okay. Okay, we're gonna talk about that. Oh. Okay, we are gonna talk about this. Yeah, when we get to the discussion, for sure. What is Erwin Smith doing here? Honestly. She's like, I'm getting tanked, bitch. Come back and tell me when it's over. Ooh. He's like, I got money on you all. Oh my god. So I was like, whatever. Oh my god. Get a room. Why don't you discuss it in the bedroom and then you can come back? Oh. Ah! Why are you talking strategy? Oh. Why are you out here trying to make him better? Why are you out here trying to make him better? He's good enough. Stop. Oh, the eye twitch. I could take you right here, right now in the field. Ah! Oh! Oh! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Are they Cinderella and the fairy godmother in a pair? Oh my god. Oh my God. Bitch, what? Bitch, what? Oh, bitch, what? Oh no, you fell. You fell, Chigiri. They're gonna split everybody up. Oh my God. Oh, sweetheart, you fell. Oh shit. Or. Oh. Oh. Ah! Oh God. Oh no. He's like Nagi on crack. Oh my God. Oh, he's a dragon. Of course he is. Ryusei is a dragon. Oh my God, the dragon toy. Oh, the layers. The layers. The carnival of the genius and the devil. Oh. Oh. Oh my God. Rayo's like, I'm ready to go in. Put me in, coach. Oh. Oh, hi, Gojo! Oh my God. So you two have been fucking for a while. Oh my God, are you kidding? Are you joking? No, 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 that wording, no, are you joking? Are we just chemical reactions at this point? Are we even trying? Are we even trying at this point? Who is thinking that this in any way is heterosexual at this point? Oh, sigh, honey. Oh my God. The translators, you all deserve raises. Get them puzzle pieces going! Sai's like, do I have to take a nibble out of Sai? Or Asagi's like, do I have to take a nibble out of Sai? I mean, Nagi would be perfect for that if you can figure it out. Yeah, no, for sure. Oh. I mean, Sai's into some freaky shit. Oh, you're shipping hardcore. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh no, no! Mother trucker! No, they're dropping like flies, no! Everybody's dropping! It's the damn plague! Ego's like, well, mother trucker. Well, yeah, Chigiri's been putting in the work. Do these two mother truckers. Hi, Rayo, you here? Rayo's gonna be one of them. He has to be. Aww. Oh, don't be hard on yourself, Chigiri. You've been working harder than everybody. No, you've been working harder than so many people. That was years ago. That was years ago, sweetheart. Don't be mad. You got time to make up for it. Oh, I don't know the numbers. Well, yeah, I mean. Hey, I was thinking Hiyori might have been one of them, but yes, Rayo and Hiyori. I want to see more Hiyori, so yes. Good on ya. And Hiyori's used to working with Tobito. I don't consider Hiyori fast, but Hiyori did keep up last time, so with Reen, so yeah, okay. Aww. Eagle looks so... Oh. 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 Sweetheart. Okay. I don't know. Hiyori's pretty good, and Rayo has been waiting. Oh, and Rayo's right next to Nagi. Shut up. Aww. Aww. Immediately. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. They're so wholesome compared to Ryusei and Sai. Shut up. Right? Oh my god. Shut up. I know. Oh, well, I mean. Oh, I love it! Yes, turning point, bitch. Okay, Hiyori is very adaptable. Yeah, Hiyori, what I like about his character is he's very adaptable. And he can pretty much do whatever you need him to. He's kind of like Sindo a little bit. Yes! I want to see Hiyori and Sindo go at it. On and off the field. Little boy blue. He's like, that's the best read you got. Oh, I love it. He's a snowflake. I love it. I'm a blizzard, bitch. Oh, love. Love. And he's worked with Ada and Tobito. What? Who is doing these translations? Like, top Tobito confirmed? Oh. Oh my god. This isn't even about soccer anymore. It's just all vague sexual innuendos, and we have just a soccer layer on top of it. Oh! Oh, hi! Hi, Hiyori! Oh, yes. Reen's like, son of a bitch. A yummy pass. This is all just sex. Every bit of this. Ah! What do I do? Do I just do the same thing that oh. Oh, striker! Mother trucker! Why? What? How is that angle even possible? Bitch! Mother trucker, why are you here? He's like he's in this game. Cops and robbers, bitch. No! No! What is this? Rayo! Oh. Oh! That's a tall order. Your love for Nagi is the only thing that is going to equal his love for Sai. Go. Let the power of the ship go. Look how smug he is! Oh. Oh! 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 And a snake too! And a snake like Aiku as well! Huh? Because he can copy! Yes! Sup, Kisei? Yeah! Oh, I love it! Oh, that's so cool, Rayo. Oh my god. Ah! 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 I love that both Rayo and Sai stick the tongues out, and Nagi and Ryusei are the ones that are like, oh, that's so cool. Oh my gosh, what? The parallels of their two ships are like, they were built in the same harbor. One was just built by a psychopath. Oh, that episode went by way too fast. Oh my god. Oh my god. We're not even playing soccer anymore. It's just sex. Oh my god. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know. I'm living for this game. I'm living for this game. It's so good. It is giving me Ace of the Diamond vibes. I'm living for it. Yes, please. I also love that the band that does the ED is Snowman, which we've had so much discussions of snow now, like with Hiyori and with Night Snow. That shot of Ryusei gets me every time. It's so stupid. All right. Are we getting an additional time? Oh, is this Henri? Oh, no. Oh. Aww. 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 The guy with the IQ jersey. Aww. Aww. Everybody's in like U20 jerseys. A shrimp, you would say. Aww. Oh my god! Oh. Oh, you sure? Oh. Oh. Ah! Should you be talking about your sons being naked all the time? Uh, what? 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 Oh my god. Oh my god. What? I. Are we even playing soccer anymore? Look. I pulled one of these blue Kool-Aids out and I was like, no, it's not enough. We're gonna need two Kool-Aids for this bad boy today because this episode was just sex. I wish I could have been in the translators room when the English translators were like, how do we interpret this? Oh, I know. You know those Crunchyroll videos? The Discord's been sharing like little clips that Crunchyroll, the streaming service, puts out, and the marketing team is just having the best time with this because they're just like, are we fooling anybody at this point? This is just a BL masked as a soccer sports anime, and I'm like, I'm living because the clips that they put out are the titles are so suggestive, as is the content, and I'm just, the way they're probably gonna have the best time with this. Ryusei, some of his lines, I was like, we are not beating around the bush anymore. So yeah, we'll put this blue Kool-Aid front and center for this one. Oh my god. So this episode was amazing. I loved this episode. It went by so fast. This game has been so good so far. I have really enjoyed this game. And I was talking about it in the ED. It reminds me, like, I view Blue Lock as technically on this channel, it is the successor to Croco's Basketball. It is also, in my mind, the spiritual successor to Croco's Basketball. There is a lot of elements of Blue Lock that are very similar to Croco's Basketball, which I love. And I also think, though, this game takes a lot from Ace of the Diamond, because one of the things I love about Ace of the Diamond is that the games, they do focus on the gameplay, which is fine. I'm not an athlete, so I'm not like one of those people that's like, volleyball player reacts to haiku. That's just not me. I'm not an athlete, but I love character-driven things. And so one thing that I love about Blue Lock when it gets into this point is, yeah, there's all the trick shots and there's the soccer moves that I'm not personally familiar with. People in the Discord have been sharing the actual soccer moves that are replicated from what happens in this show, and they are highly impressive. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought they were just making this up, and they're like, oh no, it's a thing. I'm like, oh, so that part's really impressive. But I mean, the shots and everything are cool. And like when Asagi's like, it's a double back diamond spin, I'm like, okay, that's great. But I'm living for the shipping elements, the character development, getting these characters in on here. Like there were a lot of aspects about this episode that reminded me of Ace of the Diamond, and I hope this game lasts the rest of the season because I want it to. I want it to like break down. It seems like it's going to, because we didn't get very far in this episode. We mainly had Ryusei scoring the penalty goal, and we had the subs coming in, which you could not have been more spoilery with your title. Like Night Snow is a very like non-spoiler title. The subs take the stage. You might as well have said people are going to leave, and you gave the twist away in the title. But maybe the chapter title is like that too. So they're just like, oh. So, oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna save this for every time that a shipping moment happens. No, every time we're gonna play a drinking game. There's no alcohol in this, thank God. But every time there is a sexual innuendo referenced in this episode, I'm gonna take a drink, okay? And we're gonna see if we can down. This is like 16 ounces of blue Kool-Aid. We're gonna see if we can get through that in this episode. I have a feeling we're gonna get through it pretty quickly, but we'll see. So yeah, I love the little tiny animation of Asagi when they look over to Ryusei and Asagi's eyes narrow. It's the littlest animation thing. It's the tiniest moment, but it's so good. But we basically right now on the field have 3 established ships. Like, you could say Ada and Tobito and Chigiri are in their own polycule over here with Hiyori possibly. You could say it, whatever. And I guess you could say Gin and Aryu are a ship. They're fine as well. But we have 3 flagships that are on the field right now. We have Rin and Asagi. And I guess you can include Bachira and Asagi as well. Asagi's spoiled for choice. I guess based on the additional time, which will, God, I'm going to drink the whole glass just on the additional time. But you could, I guess, refer to Asagi and Bachira as well, if you wanted to, sure. But there's 3 ships the show is focusing on specifically, and that is Rin and Asagi, Sai and Ryusei, and Nagi and Reo. I mean, they're the 3 main ships, and then you can get like your secondary color ships if you want to, which is Bachira and Asagi, Aiku and Asagi, Aiku and Sendo. You can get all that involved. You can ship for days in this series, but there's 3 ships that they're kind of focusing on, the 3 major relationships, right? Because they kind of mirror the relationships. They mirror each other in lots of ways. The voice actor for Ryusei did not have to try very hard. It's like he finished recording Jujutsu Kaisen season 2 and popped on over to the studio and said, "Oh, you want me to do Blue Lock now? So you just want me to do Gojo again? Okay, cool. Only more feral? Okay, cool." That's literally, he sounds exactly like him and his character is acting exactly like him. So it wasn't much of a stretch. And then of course Sai's voice actor is Ghetto too, so it's just like it's like every bit of subtext that I had watching Jujutsu Kaisen season 2 is now right back here, and it's all just there for us. What else do you want? I really love Ryusei's character. He's such a breath of fresh air. He's like if Bachira and Nagi just snorted a mound of crack and then came to play soccer. That's literally what he is. And I am totally fine with it because he's his own character. And he's not... One thing when we ended season 1 that I was afraid of with Ryusei is I thought he was just going to be one of those bitch characters. That he was just going to be a menace and be mean and be one of those, like, I thought he was just going to talk this, because at the end of season 1 when he was like, "Oh, Kunigami's gone, your bestie's off the field," and I was like, "You don't even talk about him, you don't even know him." Like, I was so mad. And I was afraid that Ryusei the entire second season was going to be just holding that over Asagi and Chigiri's head, that he was going to be like, "I sent your friend home," and like, No, he don't give a shit. He don't even care. He's already moved on. Like, that was just a moment, and then he's moved on. And I appreciate that the series didn't like make that be a thing, that instead he's just in the moment living for soccer and making sure that Sai is impressed with him. And you know what? Fine. I'm fine with it. Also, the fact that he calls Rin Mr. Longbottom Lashes the Younger. Do we say that Rin being called Mr. Longbottom? Yeah, we do. This ain't gonna last us very long. But yeah, and Rin's just, and I love it, he's like, the voice actor for him was having the time, I'm spitting, of his life recording this, because he doesn't just tease Rin from a distance. No, he gets right up in his personal bubble, and Rin's like, "I didn't ask you to come here," and he's like, "Your explosion ends here." I'm gonna spill all this. And then say, "Let's find out." This part is maybe my favorite thing that Ryusei has done this entire series, where he's like, "Let's find out who's really the number one Rin-chan." And then the only thing is the translation goes moi. Moi is a moi. And he goes, "Chew." Because he goes, "Chew." I can't. Why? Why just chew? Can't. I'm feral. This is enough. They're please tell me your heterosexual explanations. Please tell me them. I don't think they're valid anymore. Not after this episode. Were they ever? No. And I like Sagi's like, hey! Sagi's like, now don't you get in on this. Like, Shido, no, stop that. Like, Reen's mine. Get back. Don't be making out in the field. Sagi's like, that's my job. I like, he's just like, get away. Stop that, Shido. And Reen's like, oh, perfect timing. It's like Reen's just like completely over it. He's like, oh, I'm so glad. He's like, I was looking for a scrub to clown on and add some flourish to my game. Down to clown, y'all. You blonde pest. I love that both Nico and Reen call him a pest and they relate to the antennas. That's hilarious. And he's like, oh, right back at you, big brothers, boy. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? And then the announcers are like, oh, it seems that Ryusei is just out there on the field taunting Atoshi Sai's younger brother. They should really get all room, a lot of them. I was like, oh my God. These commentators, I'm like, you have no idea. They all have their opera glasses like RuPaul. I can't wait to see how this turns out. I'm like, oh my God. And then Aiku's off in the distance being like, now, am I going to have to pull out the handcuffs? I love Aiku's character. He's so good. I love it. He gives me, if we're going to talk about Haikyuu, there's a character called Romero. He gives me Romero vibes in the best way. But I love that Isagi, anytime Isagi's on the field monologuing, it's like the lighting changes to be dramatic. There's either puzzle pieces flying around or embers and sparks flying everywhere. And what I like is that Isagi is very much like, I'm going to get the goal. I'm going to be the hero. And reflex flow. When he said the game can't end without him scoring, I was like, that is a bold statement. But that is kind of the Blue Lock mentality, and it shows how far Isagi has come, because in season 1, Isagi was like, well, this is all coming down to chemical reactions and how I work with others and how we like create a gameplay together and how we connect. And that it's felt like an evolution. So Isagi has essentially gone from over here at the start of season 1 to being dependent on others, where he's like, I don't really have any talents. I got to figure out my own way. And how do I score a goal? Well, I'll use other people, to getting to this point where he's like, well, I could devour people, but I'm still dependent upon them, because if I don't devour them, then I can't gain their skills, right? To now where he's like, I'm assisting and working with others. So it's not depending upon them, but working with them to get to the goal and score it. And now in this episode, he's like, I have to score myself or the game is not going to be won. And that's the whole point of Blue Lock, is having these players believe that they have to be responsible for the goals, that they can't depend upon other people. They have to be the ones to score. It has to be them. And I'm going to go back to Dot's comment a little bit in this discussion, because I kind of think I connected some things to get to where Dot was talking about. And I kind of want to like evolve and amend what I said in the intro, because I kind of get what Dot's saying and I want to amend it just a wee bit as we go through this, especially with what Nico was saying. And we'll talk about that when we get to it. But I feel like Isagi and Reen have that same striker mentality of, we have to score the goals. And we have to be the ones to do it. We can't rely upon anybody else. If we get in a pinch, sure, we're going to have to pass it. We've got to be smart about it, but we can't just sit there and be like, oh, well, I've got to depend on Reen, otherwise the game isn't saved. Like, yeah, right. And I feel like Sai, in some respect, in the last episode was trying to tell Reen, you can't depend upon me. That's not going to work. And it's gotten, inadvertently, Reen to where he is now. And so the second half, and I love that Isagi's like, the second half belongs to me. I love that we do this with Isagi, and then we kind of just avoid him the rest of the episode. For the most part, he does come back in this, but it's really good. So by the end of this game, we are tied. We're tied by the end of this episode. The game is tied. We're still in the second half. We barely get into the second half. I mean, it's just started like 5 minutes in. So we got a lot of time to go off of. And we're at the kickoff. I love that Nico gets a lot of focus this episode. That was really fun. And to see that Nico is watching Ryusei to see what he's going to do. And he's like, Ryusei's biggest weapon is when he gets near the box, he just does whatever he wants. And Sai, who's pretty good at picking up on that and working with that, is really compatible with him. And so that's why he can kind of handle it. The other Blue Lock people are like, we can't really handle this. So he was trying to see, like, what is going to happen? How's this move going to work? I love Ryusei being like, heartbeats, energy. He's just feeling it on the surface, feeling it in the blood, the flow, everything. He's like Kuro on crack, right? And just zipping past people. And everybody's like, the fudge. Even his own teammates are like, we don't know how to handle him. Which kind of makes sense because the whole team kind of was avoiding him throughout the practices. They didn't want to use Ryusei, and Sai's like, well, you're an idiot for not using him because if you know how to handle him, he works out perfectly. Am I surprised that Sai is the only one that can handle Ryusei? No, he's a psychopath. Of course he can handle him, right? Like, Ryusei is just, when he said it was like 21 against 1, I was like, well, it's more like 20 against 2 because Sai is like the one that can handle him. And their relationship, I wanted to bring Whiteboard Kun out because if you want to look at it this way, you have Ryusei, okay? Ryusei is very much, he has this weird control and organic, like, chemistry with the ball that, like, he does it without even trying. And that is very similar to Nagi. Him and Nagi kind of have this same sort of flow. In a sense, Ryusei is just like snorted amount of cocaine before doing it, and Nagi like took a Zoloft. But they both come at it from the same angle with the ball, right? Then you have Sai and Reo, which Sai and Reo, I didn't think about them having so much in common, but they kind of do. Sai is kind of self-loathing and hard on himself and doesn't believe he can go past a certain point and whatnot. And Reo kind of has a similar mentality to Sai. I mean, Reo is not as cold and cruel as Sai. Reo's also an only child, so who knows? Maybe he'd be like that with his brother. Probably not, though. But I feel like Reo and Sai have a lot in common. Reo's just not as bold as Sai, and Nagi's not as feral as Ryusei, so Reo doesn't have to be as bold. But they both, they're both kind of calculating. They're both calculating, and they're strategists. And they both come at it from that end, and they're both able to work with both of them. That was kind of Reo's whole thing, is that he's like, I can work with Nagi and make him work to how I need to. And I feel like Reo, obviously doesn't have the experience that Sai does, so you could say Sai is much more elevated in that respect, but there's a lot of parallels between them. Quite a lot. And in both scenarios, Ryusei and Nagi kind of hang on every word that Sai and Reo say. Like Nagi, like the voice actor talked about a few episodes ago in the intro, the voice actor was like, no, Nagi's actually kind of more into Reo than Reo even knows. And I feel the same way about Ryusei. Ryusei, the fact that Sai could be like, don't disappoint me, and Ryusei is like, okay, like a little puppy dog. There is no way Ryusei would do that with anybody else but Sai. And I'm like, it just, And so he's like, okay, here we go. I also think that they did a really good job in this episode of bringing up a really good point about Chigiri. Chigiri has been running so much already during this game. Like we've seen Aryu and Nico move, but Nico hasn't moved like sprinting and catching the ball nearly to the extent that Chigiri has. Chigiri has really been moving a lot, and that part of the episode made me feel a little bit like Ace of the Diamond, where those little tiny moments that you kind of maybe don't notice at first all add up to this moment with Chigiri kind of overexerting himself. I did feel bad because I was like, Chigiri, it's not your fault that years ago you didn't practice. Like, you've been catching up, but you also kind of get where he's coming from with his injury and everything. But oh my God. Also, the fact of Sendo getting the ball, and Shido calling him Shark Sucker. You can insert another word other than shark in that moment. But a shark sucker is essentially what's also called a bottom feeder. And they just stick to sharks and kind of like leech off of them. And it makes it seem like Sendo is leeching off of Ryusei and Sai. I feel for Sendo a bit. I know that Sendo is his own problem, but I do feel for him because he's like figuring out all these things amidst these monsters. And I do appreciate his relationship with Aiku because Aiku's kind of like, it's okay, head pats. And it's like, oh, Sendo needs that. Give Sendo some love. But Sendo also kind of reminds me of Reo as well. So Sendo, he kind of seems to me like he's in the same position that Reo was back in season 1. Because in season 1, Reo was like, well, if you give me the ball, I'll do whatever you need me to, and I'll do whatever it takes to win, and I'll pass it on. I've got it all planned out. And you could also argue that Sendo's kind of like Nagi from season 1 too in that regard, because Nagi's like, well, if you give me the ball, I'll do what I need to do. And here we see Sendo kind of in that same position where Sendo's like, I'll do whatever y'all say. I'm not above it. If it means we get to win as a team, sure. And I was going to comment in the reaction that that's kind of the mentality that has not fared well in Blue Lock so far. Usually that mindset of, oh, I'll just do whatever it takes to win, but I'm not going to do it for myself or be the striker. I'm just going to follow the lead of someone else. That usually has been received with negative reception in the show. Whereas if you do that, you're not acting for yourself, you're not taking charge and initiative, and usually the characters were punished for that. So I'm going to be curious to see in this. It doesn't seem right now like Sendo's going to be punished because he's doing it with Ryusei and Sai, but then on the other hand, I'm like, well, what else do we do with that, right? So it's going to be curious to see how that goes down, but what did they say here when they're talking about he's a decoy supporting Shido? So he's kind of like what Isagi is to Rin. So Sendo kind of becomes what to Ryusei, what Isagi is to Rin. Now, do I ship Sendo and Ryusei? No. So I don't feel like it's exactly like the ship, but it's just the fact of them using him as a decoy. The difference, though, is that, like I just said, Sendo does not believe he can go to the goal on his own. And that's been reinforced by Sai telling him that he can't do it, right? So Sendo needs to get past that mindset that he has to rely upon Sai and Ryusei if they're going to achieve any overall victory. Because Isagi at the beginning of this episode was like, I'm going to score the goal. I may be a decoy for Rin, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be able to score that goal if it comes down to it. And Sendo's not that position. So I feel like later on, if Isagi and Sendo have like a clash, then Isagi's going to be like, well, you can keep doing whatever they tell you to do, but I'm going to do my thing. And then maybe Sendo will learn from that and try to adapt. Who knows? Right? Sendo's like, if it means to win, I'll do whatever it takes. But yeah, Sai is terrifying. Sai is so effortless in anything that he does. And the fact that it seems like a shot, but no, he's just passing the ball in this insane way. Ryusei as not only the devil boy, but a freaking dragon makes so much sense. Like, I love that the wings he has, it could look like devil wings, but also it's Ryusei and Ryu is like dragon. So, and that kind of goes with like the hair color that's kind of unique and the pink and the flames. Like, dragon fits. Also, in the flashback that we had last episode, you had Rin with the toy that was like the little hero soldier, and you had a dragon. And the dragon falls, which shows like his falling faith in his brother. So his brother Sai is tied to a dragon, and he's with Shido, who is literally represented by a dragon. So all of the stars of the ships are aligning. And then when Ryusei says, I love me some nasty ones. Do you now? Sai's pretty nasty, so I feel like Janet Jackson's Nasty is playing, like, you know, as they're playing this game. That's their couple song. Or no, it's Janet Jackson's If. Yeah, If. You go listen to that and think of Ryusei and Sai, and it fits pretty well. So yeah, their attacks have been rejuvenated. Ryusei just looked amazing in this. But then Nico fouling Ryusei to block the shot. I mean, it was like, that's a last ditch effort. Because I mean, you could hope that they missed the penalty. But that, when his foot connected, I have broken my little toe before through running. Not like that, but it felt like I feel that felt. And nope, not good at all. That's so, ugh. The yellow card. And then I love when they're like, oh, Ryusei he's coordinating with Sai. I'm like, oh, you bet he's coordinating. They're not just coordinating colors. But yeah, when Ryusei called Nico a little eye-hiding gnome, I was like, he is kind of like a gnome. That's actually a really good description. I kind of love that. And he's like, and again, he calls Ryusei a pest as well, Mr. Pest. And then Ryusei was gonna like try to clock Nico, but Sai's like, okay, knock it off, Baka. And I love that gets him. That makes him stop. And he's like, are you gonna throw away your career? Are you gonna throw away all of our times where we can be together? Like, just show some worth with your goals. And he's like, don't make me any more disappointed in you. Like, Sai's there with a leather whip, waiting to go. And Ryusei, is like, oh, well, fine, well, thank you kindly. I was like, it was basically like, please, sir, may I have another? Is essentially, I'm not going to drink to that yet because it's not explicit. But I was like, are you kidding me? Like, the faces they make each other. Meanwhile, Asagi's like, oh, good job out there, Nico. He's so innocent. So we have this discussion, all right, between Asagi and Nico. And I want to go back to Dot's comment because I think that Sai is settling. Yes, I do. I think he's settled for the fact that he's going to be a midfielder and he doesn't want to go beyond all that because he doesn't think it's possible. I do still stand firmly by that. That's my own opinion, but whatever. But I do think that Nico brings up this really cool angle to it. And it reminded me a lot of Haikyuu. It reminded me a lot of Ace of the Diamond. It reminded me of this mentality that Nico, what he's done is that I like that I like, before I get to this, that they do acknowledge that Sendo is not flashy, but he's efficient. Sendo is a good player. He's just not flashy like everybody else. He's got a strong foundation. And Asagi's like, oh shit, Nico could see all this? What? This is amazing. And so then what I really love is that he talks about how he was willing to reinvent himself. So I think that Nico is a bit different than Sai. And I wanted to point that out because Sai's things was that he wanted to be a striker. And then he feels like he doesn't have the skill. And so he settled to be like, well, my talents are more suited for a midfielder. So I'm just going to be the best at that. And that's all there is to it. I can't go any further. But I feel the way that Nico describes it is a little tiny bit different. Where Nico, he says that he's like, it pains me I wasn't chosen as a striker. It doesn't mean he's given up on being a striker. He's just, for this game, I'm mad that I wasn't chosen as a striker. It's not that he's giving up on it. He's just like, I wasn't picked and that sucks. So he wanted to be a striker. And he wasn't chosen as that, which you could say is essentially what happened to Sai. But I feel like in Sai's case, what happened was the coach was like, no, you're not good enough to be a striker. So just do this. We don't know that for sure yet. Again, we'll see when we get to Sai's perspective and my whole thing could change. He's like, but the thing is that similar to Sai, he says with these eyes, he's like, he feels that he realized his talents are with being a defender. And he reinvented himself and was open to change because of that. So he's like, I realize I do have the skill set and I'm really good and could potentially make that work to being a defender. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see Nico like accept and challenge himself by being like, I have these skills. Let me do this now. I can be a defender. And it reminded me of, Nico reminded me of Kuro from Haikyuu, because in Haikyuu, Kuro's like, yeah, or even Daichi as well. Daichi and Kuro both have been like, yeah, it's fun to like want to spike the ball and do this, but and it could be even Atsumu. There's so many characters in Haikyuu this can apply to, but some of them, like, not everybody can be the same position, right? So in Haikyuu and volleyball, you see a lot of the characters that are like, oh, I wanted to be the spiker and the one that spikes the ball and all this. But I've realized through my skills that it's actually a lot of fun to do this role and see how good I am at it and excel at it and still be able to help my team and be a great participant and still score, doing something that's a little bit what I didn't expect. And I've reinvented myself and I'm challenging myself to go with it and do it that way. And you can argue that that is exactly what Sai is doing. And if you argue that, I get it. My thing was in episode 9 in the flashback, it seemed like Sai was very dejected about it and he felt defeated. And he's like, well, I can't be a striker, so this is all I can do, and I'm just going to make it work and be the best. And he was coming at it from such a negative angle, whereas Nico is coming at it from a very positive angle. And like, I've never been afraid to change, whereas Sai is like, I didn't want to change, but I was forced to. And it's like, that's not the mindset. That's a mindset of settling, that you don't believe you can do any better, and you're just going to do it because that's all you believe you can. Whereas Nico seems to come at it from a perspective of, it's not that I can't do any better, but I've realized my strengths and I now want to pursue this. And I feel like that's that subtle little difference between abandoning a dream and changing a dream. And I can't decide personally. I know that some people are like, Sai didn't abandon the dream, he just changed it. I can't decide if I agree with that or not. I need to see Sai's perspective. And I feel like once we get that point there, and I hear him say it, then I will, and I hear him say that, what I want to hear, like what Nico is, then I'll change it. But from episode 9, it didn't seem that way. So y'all just got to agree to disagree with me and let me find out from the show. But I did like Nico's perspective. It did feel like it was really cool that he's like, I know now how fun it is to trample a forward as a defender. And I'm like, that's so cool that Nico's like found his place through Blue Lock. But the thing is that Blue Lock challenges you to be the best striker. And then from there, you have the opportunity to kind of feel like where you find your strengths. And that kind of system is a lot different than I think the systems that Sai went through and Aiku went through and a lot of the other characters have gone through. So I love that. I love that moment. So it sucks whenever he has to leave. And Asagi is like, okay, I'm glad that I've helped you realize that you're going to change. And he's like, I want to win this game. The guy that is like Erwin Smith with the Louis Vuitton puffer coat is great. I like that his slightly dismissive girlfriend is just getting more and more into the game as it goes. The one guy in the suit is wanting Blue Lock to win. He's placed his bets. I also like that Naruto is sitting beside them. Dad Naruto. So everybody's gathered around the field to block the shot, and Sai's like, well, this is kind of annoying. Okay, this comment right here, this dialogue, where it feels like a conversation of who's going to top and who's going to bottom between Ryusei and Sai. It feels like this is an elaborate discussion on he's like, I'm taking this one, Sai. Ryusei is like, the path to goal that you want to take is blocked by your pesky little brother, so I'm going to get there for you. And Sai's like, okay. He's like, it's too close. It's too crowded. I don't like any of it. And he's like, you don't really know how you're going to get to the goal either, do you? And he's like, I won this kick, so I'm taking it. And I like that Sai is like, okay, fine, you did win the kick, but do you even know what you're going to do? He's like, if you don't know what you're going to do, then what are we going to do? He's like, is that the best course of action? He's like, is it the best option you could see with those eyes? How unfair is it that Reen, a very competent blood-related person that's played with you since you were kids, why aren't you doing this with him? So, like, Sai's sitting there like he's building up Ryusei. He's coaching Ryusei in the moment, being like, Ryusei, I want you to go beyond. And I'm like, why couldn't you do this with your brother, you monster? And Ryusei, I love when Ryusei's like, what are you talking about? This seems complicated. Can't we just kick the ball? Like, he's just like, Ryusei's expressions in this whole episode were sending me. And he's like, a move that's realistically possible, an ideal move you want to execute. It felt like Ryo talking to Nagi, except Nagi would be like, huh, what? And Ryusei's like, what? Like, their reactions are just on different emotional levels. But Sai's like, aim for the move where the two start. Like, he starts to explain the tech of it all. And you see Ryusei's little eyes, like, visualizing, like, in that moment. Like, he's like a dog in his sleep having a dream. He's like, visualize what you're going to do. And then Ryusei is like, oh, you're giving me shivers, Sai-chan. I'm like, Sai-chan, huh? Mm-hmm. He's like, I've come up with a killer move. And then he's like, it's going to be a mega super difficult stunt to pull off. It looks like Nagi would be like, it's going to be a crazy stunt. I guess I'll do it. And Ryusei is like, are you going to watch me? Are you going to watch me do it? Are you going to see me do it? It's going to be amazing. I'm like, just stop, both of you. He's like, are you sure you're going to keep up? And then Sai's like, who do you think I am? Dream big, Akuma-kun, and I'll work my magic. I'm like, and he's like, oh, am I getting the Cinderella treatment? Are you giving me my fairy godmother? I'm like, mm-hmm. Oh my God. And then he says heartthrob. Heartthrob. Ah! Mm-mm. This ref that blows whistles is like, this conversation's a little bit sexual. I don't know. What are these guys doing off the field? So he goes, fakes them out with the ball. Sai gets him the ball. Chigiri tries to catch up, but his legs fail him. I like that the wind blows through Bachira and Asagi's hair, and Ada's like, I wish I could record this for posterity. And he thinks that he sees through it, and then nope. And then that damn move with the dragon, that move is so good. Like, there are veins popping out on his legs. Are you freaking kidding me? That move was great. That was all the cells in my body jump. And then he kicks it and does the dragon drive. Oh my God, yes. And Gein's like, that is a monster. An absolute monster. So then it's tied. And they said, yeah, the carnival of the genius and the devil. Yep. And then everybody's like, yay. And then the one girl that looks like Mojito is like, that was nuts. And the whole time Ryo is calmly sitting there just watching them. He's been watching all of their plays. He's been watching the dragon drive that Ryusei is doing. So if Nagi gets to recreate that, F yes, please let Ryo, not Nagi recreate it. Please let Ryo recreate it. Please. I want Ryo to use that against Ryusei. Let this happen. He's like, I'll show you a ship. I got a freaking armada. Like, I need it. I need that moment, please. He's been patiently watching this whole time. And then, yeah, Ryusei gets down on the ground. I mean, okay. The moment he gets down on the ground and is like T-posing in front of everyone and his eyes are like upturned and he's blushing like he's had an orgasm. That is very Gojo. Very Gojo indeed. Are we surprised? And just like the lights flashing and everything. Okay, and then these lines here. Y'all, IQ is like, you two are so in tune. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yep. And then this dialogue, translators, where Ryusei says, I'm getting high on my brain juice. And then he says, I'm coming. Kasploosh. You interpret that differently. Go ahead and try. Yeah, no. And I know he's just high off the move and everything, but and then Sai says, we're still only level, Mr. Two Pump Chump Devil. Well, gee, Sai, how would you know it didn't take that much, huh? I've never watched a sports anime where it was that explicitly sexual to talk about the two of them jerking off through their soccer moves. I'm sorry, what? Oh my God. I can't. And then Sagi's like, damn it. They're like, those two, they're impossible. That woman's possible to stop. A chemical reaction. Yeah, no, we'll call it a chemical reaction for the kids. Yep. And Asagi's like, that was really nasty. He's like, do I have to get that nasty to make it work? Yeah. And then they just broke down the shot and everything. Poor Chigiri, though. And then everybody, and of course, I love that Isagi, he's like, wait, is that the kind of reflex I've been looking for? Do I need to get nasty just like them with Reen? I mean, you could. I mean, I'm not going to stop you. No one's going to complain if that's the case, right? I love it. I love Asagi being like, Blue Lock couldn't handle Ryusei's vision, but Sai saw. I think that I disagree a little bit with Asagi. Asagi doesn't know about Sai coaxing Ryusei on. But Sai definitely, I feel like Ego was like, I can't control you, and there's too much of an age gap. And Sai was like, oh, I can work with this. Because I feel like where Ryusei is a bit different from Reen is that Reen is so focused on his rivalry with Sai and being better than him and whatnot and catching up with him and just being on the same level or higher as him. Ryusei doesn't really care about that. Ryusei is just like, I'm going to do my thing and whatever happens, happens. But he responds to Sai and listens to him because he kind of respects him, which is like the only person he respects. And I think that's because Sai doesn't try to tell him what to do. Sai, well, he does, but Sai's like, look, I know you're going to do whatever you want, but just think about this and maybe like, how are you going to respond to that? And maybe like figure out a way to make that work. And he gives Ryusei a bit of respect, but he also like gives Ryusei some freedom to make the choices that he wants. And I feel like he can handle crazy and match the freak. And maybe Ego knew that nobody else on that team was going to be able to do it. So, and Isagi's like, I can match people's freaks. For these two, it's just the prologue. Yeah. Oh, and then he's like, oh, lovely stuff, Mr. Longbottom Lashes the Elder. I like you. And then he says, give me your info later. Be like, give me your contact info. I like you. We could go do it sometime after this. And you know what Sai responds with? Sai responds with, oh, well, I'll think about it if you score a hat trick. And Isagi's like, why? Rin won't let me hug him. Sai and Ryusei are over here being like, are we going to go at it after this match? And he's like, well, if you have a hat trick, I guess so. I'm not opposed to it. I'm like, and meanwhile, Isagi's like, hug me, Rin. And Rin's like, fuck no. Oh my God, are you kidding me? So yeah, they got to stop those two. He's like, the power of the gay, we got to stop it. And then right about that time, Chigiri and Nico are dropping like flies. And Henri's like, what do we do? And he goes like, well, I've been prepping for this. So I was not surprised that Reo came out at all, because Reo has been mentally foreshadowing this to us, the audience, for the last 3 episodes. I was surprised by Hiyori, but whenever they were like, it only makes sense that these people come out, one of them that immediately came to mind was Hiyori. Because when they were talking about balancing things, if you're going to balance the crazy, then there's 2 ways to go about it. Like, one, to balance the crazy of Ryusei, I instantly thought of Hiyori, because if anybody is polar opposite of Ryusei on there and still really, really talented, I would think it would be Hiyori. Hiyori is like the calm it's like you have fire Ryusei and you have ice Hiyori, which makes sense now that we saw the symbolism in this episode. So that was what I was thinking in my head. And then if you're going to combat, there's 2 types of balance. There's balance that's opposites. So like Ryusei and Hiyori, they're like opposites balancing out the scales. And then there's balance where it's matching the freak. And if you're going to match the freak ship vibe and energy with Sai, it's Reo. If you're going to match Sai's intensity of his shipping with Ryusei, then you're going to have to get Reo's intensity of shipping with Nagi. Like, that's the only way to do it. So, in that respect, using both of them, is when he said our balance is broken. I'm like, those two make the most sense. But yeah, poor Chigiri. And when Chigiri cried going back up on the bench, like when he cried in that moment, and Ego was like, you know, are you mad you got subbed out? And we see Chigiri looking the most beautiful and heartbroken and adorable in that moment. I was like, oh my God. And that felt very much like Ace of the Diamond. Like there's a scene between a coach and a player in Ace of the Diamond that is just like this. And the coach is like, now you see where you're at, where you need to go to from here, and what it's going to take to stay in the game. And I'm like, oh, that stuff I love. Like that's so Ace of the Diamond. I love it. It's my favorite. I'm here for it. I live for it. Yes, please. Absolutely. I'm all about it. 100%. And I love it. And it made me in the moment wonder, like, does Ego know what Chigiri is going through? Again, I'm in the tinfoil hat theory that Ego was injured and couldn't play anymore, and that's why he's doing Blue Lock. I have in my head, or he was abandoned by a coach and didn't fall through with it. I'm so curious about Ego. I almost don't want to know Ego's backstory because it's such a mystery and I love theorizing about it, but I feel like maybe he knows what Chigiri is going through and that's why he connects with him in that moment. But yeah, so they replace, it's the 10 minutes into the second half, so we still have 35 minutes left. We still have, if we're only 10 minutes per episode and it's episode 10, then we got 11, 12, and then if we're having 13 and 14 together, yeah, we've got enough time to finish out the game and prep for season 3. So yes, absolutely. But yeah, I love that Hiyori is like, oh, Ada, you're a fullback now. So he's like, things are a little different. He's like, don't venture too far forward. And he's like, yeah. I like the Hiyori. One thing that's really important about this is that, again, we talk about opposites in this episode, right? Ryusei and Hiyori are pure opposites because Hiyori knows everybody on the field. He's played with Ada and Tobito. He's played with Asagi and Rin. He's technically worked in practice, I'm sure, with Reo and them. Like, he's worked with so many on the field and he has a connection with them that, and I can't remember what groups, like what in the groups that we had in the selection. I'd have to go back and see like who was in what group, but I feel like some of them were in the same group as Hiyori and them. Was Reo in the same group as Asagi and them for the third selection? Maybe. But I feel like he's worked with a lot of them, so he's very compatible with them. He knows how they work, and they work as a unit, and there's a lot of camaraderie there. Ryusei is the total opposite. Ryusei has only worked with Sai. He begrudgingly works with Sendo because Sendo is having to work with them because he has no choice. But he hasn't really worked with any of the U20s, so he doesn't have that connection. So him and Hiyori are total opposites, which is really cool to see on the field. And then, of course, as soon as Reo gets on the field, the first person he looks at is Nagi. He's like, there he is. Like, just the yearning. You can feel the yearning through the screen. And he's like, did you wait for me? And Nagi's like, oh, hey, what's up? There's so much sexual tension between Nagi and Reo and Ryusei and Sai, but they're in polar opposite ways. But I'm just like, Reo, get a room. Come on now. And he's like, we're here. We're going to be together. And he's like, you're capable of so much more. I'm like, and that's again, talking about Sai to Ryusei. Sai is like, you have all this potential. Think about what you're going to do. Evolve. Get better. I want to get better with you. And Reo's the same way. He's like, Nagi, you can still get so much better. And I'm going to catch up and get better with you. I'm like, oh, the parallels. It's just so freaking good. And he's like, if we don't win, it's all over. It's too soon for us to end things here. I'm like, you're exactly right. And Nagi's like, I know. They're so good together. I like that we didn't get a lot of focus with Rin in this episode, but him and Asagi are like, they're like matched up as a pair, which is amazing. And then we have Sai and Ryusei match as a pair. And then the one guy that Kensho Ono's playing is like in the background. So anyway, so the game starts. Hiyori is there working, and Hiyori has worked with Rin and Asagi before, as well as Kinyu and them. So was Kinyu on the field the entire time? I guess he was. Yeah, I forgot about Kinyu for a second. or maybe that was a flashback. But Hiyori's strikes are unhurried and is controlled. He's a calm technician who creates space on the front line. I like the one guy calls him Little Boy Blue, and he's like, "Hi, tattooed boy." Like, are we reading now? But I love the idea that as his ego is not fiery, I love that he describes his ego as calm and cold, which that's so true. I would think that, in some respects, Sai is kind of like that. He has a very calm and cold presence, and that's his ego. And I kind of like, again, you have the opposite of Ryusei and Hiyori, but Hiyori is kind of similar to Sai in that regard, that they have this very collected, controlled presence, like nothing phases them. They don't get over emotional about things. And again, I love parallels and character connections and shows, and Blue Lock does it so well. So yeah. So the ball's passing around. Okay, this line here. This line here. Look, where Tobito stops the ball, and Sendo was like, that was a tight hold. And I'm gonna have to switch over to my coffee, but he's like, forcing it through a tiny hole, huh? That's hot. I didn't make it through the episode. What? Do you think it's hot to force it through a tiny hole, Tobito? Do you? Oh my God. So yeah, and then he's like, as always, you're only good at kicking. And Hiyori's like, it's not only. And he's like, then show me how you ain't mediocre. And I love that he's like, fine, you're loud, aren't you? I'm like, just get a room, get a suite, like a penthouse suite for all of you to get in, honestly. But yeah, so Hiyori is precise, cool-headed, and gets the ball over towards Asagi and them. And then, the target was Rin, but then it goes to Nagi. And I love these, like, that's a yummy pass, Hyorin. I was like, he gives him, like, the little nickname, which is cute. Also, I feel like in Kuroko's basketball, Murasaki Bara, who's legit, like, the most laid back of the Generation of Miracles, he also gives, like, the little nickname at the end of their names, which for Nagi to do it is very appropriate. So also Nagi and Murasaki Bara have a lot in common, which is fun. But then like Kurama is like tries to get in there, and instead Nagi's like, well, you're really annoying. He's like, what does he say there? He was like, wow, what did he say? He's like, say thank you once you've had a piece of me, you listless kid with a great first touch. I've run out of Kool-Aid to drink for these translations. I'm back on the coffee. He's like, you're such an annoying Doberman. And he's like, I got to sneak in behind using Rin as bait. Did you get to sneak in from behind? Uh-huh. So then the ball came, and he's like, what do I do? And so he sends it over to Asagi. And I was so sad because I wanted Asagi to get it. I wanted Asagi to score the goal. I wanted it to happen. And you know who sneaks in? And you can see him in the frame here. You can see it where he's like direct shot. You can see Aiku coming off screen. That's so cool. I didn't even notice that. I was too focused on Asagi. And then who comes in? Oh, little burglar. Now look, that shot that Aiku does there with his leg where it looks like it's completely disjointed from his body, I don't think that's possible. I don't see how that was possible. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Come on now. Yeah, I just don't see how that is physically possible. But it's probably just the animation. I'm sure you all will share the manga panel in there and on the Discord, and it'll be fine. But again, I've run out of blue Kool-Aid where he's like, I'm here to put a collar on you. I mean, that doesn't have to be sexual, but I almost forgot about Aiku and Asagi's secret dom sub relationship that they have going on the field. And then Asagi's like, well, son of a bitch. I do love that panel where Asagi's like crouched down behind him. Like, that looks so good. There are so many good panels in this episode that look amazing. Picking the thumbnail is going to be really hard. It's going to be hard. He's like, why are you here? I'm like, he's a defender. That's his whole point. He's a defender, Asagi. What are you doing? What are you talking about? Oh my God. I love it. And then, yeah, so, and even the one where IQ has like the black ink pouring across him. Why is he crouching like that? I thought he's supposed to be a cop, not a barracuda. What? So anyway, they pass it back to Sai, and Sai's gonna take it to Ryusei, and then Reo. I was a little concerned at first, and I know I shouldn't be. And Ego's like, your job is to stop Ryusei. And I know you can do it because you love Nagi. He's like, we're going to pit the homosexuals against the homosexuals in this game. As you should. And so at first, up until the episode where Reo got his chameleon ability, I was like, I don't know how Reo, because Reo always seems to have trouble with his confidence. And I was like, I don't know how Reo's going to handle someone as wild as Ryusei. But then him copying Aiku and waiting for him to come was so good. And I love that the snake that appears in Reo's version is like a purple snake. It's his own. I kind of love that. It's like Aiku's, but he makes it his own. And the copying success is 99%. Now, is there going to be a moment in this match where Reo's copying is 100%? I don't know. They've put a percentage up there, so it could be. The Reo with the chameleon's so good, too. I love chameleon defense. It's great. And then Nagi's like, that's so cool, Reo. It's like, oh! Adorable. Absolutely adorable. I love it. I freaking love it. And Reo's like, with this power of mine, I'll put an end to Shido. I love that, again, Reo has the tongue thing just like Sai. They're more alike than they seem. Love it. Also, Sai is often represented in the merchandise with a seagull. And I'm like, seagulls are annoying. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Right? Okay, so then we have Yu and Io. Io is Asagi's mom. Asagi Io. And Bachira Yu is Bachira's mom. And they're just off having a nice little ladies halftime chat and conversation about how their sons are besties. Everybody there has a U20 jersey on, which is fun. I'll be curious to see if like it changes and people have like Blue Lock jerseys on by the end of it. And she's like, wow. And they talk about how their sons are very, very different. Whereas Bachira's mom is like, Meguru, he is like a free spirit. He'll argue with people and he thinks outside the box. He's very brave and bold. And Asagi's mom is like, well, Asagi's a little coward and he's always been a crybaby and immediately like, gets scared at the easiest of things. But then that was all well and good where it was really cute. But then Bachira's mom's like, oh, and my son goes naked all the time. And she's like, oh, Yoichi's totally the same, totally naked. She says that he takes his clothes off and complains that they chafe and they feel weird. And Bachira's mom's like, oh my God, my son does the exact same thing. Seems our sons are nudie buddies. I could have drank a whole 16 ounce. Just on that point there. I'm like, what? Excuse me? Nudie buddies? Show? What? And then the dad, and they're like, oh, I'm so glad they have soccer and that they're best friends. They're like, and they'll have this long-lasting relationship. Platonic or otherwise. And then the dad comes in, Asagi Issei, and he's like, oh, we gotta get back to our seats. And he's about to fall and trip and die. And then both of them save him. And they're like, good combination and teamwork. And the two ladies are like, yes. And he's like, am I gonna get left? And they're like, possibly. Blue Lock. The BL that's disguising itself as a sports anime is basically this series. I love it. I love it so much. So much fun. This episode was amazing and I loved every single second of it. So yes. All right. Well, I've talked for an hour about this. So that's fun. Anyway, I'm so excited to hear your comments down below, but this episode was everything and I cannot wait for episode 11 now. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, I'll be back next week with episode 11 of season 2 of Blue Lock. Bye.